Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have a top 8 breakdown for the TAC Perth regionals that happened this past weekend. It was the first FB03 legal regional event in the world, so I'm really excited to go over it. There's a lot of new stuff that came out, including black as a new color, and I'm excited to go over the list in general. So if you guys want access to all these, they're on my website, Eggman Events, and it has been updated for FB03, and we're going to continue to make a lot more content for FB03 in the future as well. So jumping on into it though, so this was run by TAC Games. It was 55 players with this top 8 that we see here today, of 2 Bardocks, with one of them winning the event, 2 Aandroidd 17s, 1 Vegeta, 1 Son Goku, the blue one, 1 of the GT Goku from the set, and then also the starter Goku for top 8 as well. So, and we also do have the leader breakdown, which I think is really interesting for this one. If you know, and this is maybe like something with this being like a day one kind of format, or like in the beginning of this new set coming out, where we have Frieza, 17, 18, and Beerus. I would say those are 3 of the strongest decks going into the end of FB02. And so since this is a new format, some people might not have had enough time to get cards or play the new decks or something like that. So, you know, it's not too surprising that it was half of the, you know, actual attendance was those 3 leaders. But then Beerus and Frieza, neither of these got into the top 8, which I thought was really surprising. So 17, 18, I think is still very strong, and I think it's the premier green deck in this format. Even though like honestly, you look at the deck list, there's nothing really new with it. It's just really strong and consistent, and has a lot of ways to be flexible, but also put some pressure down while also being able to ramp up to your big plays as well, which I think is interesting. So we'll see if you know, this is just a glimpse of this format right now. I'm really curious to see how it evolves. The only deck that I'm surprised that didn't top is Beerus. I think that's still like the premier red deck in this format, but you know, obviously we got a lot of format left to go. So we're going to go over the top placing leaders for each one of these leaders. Actually, we're going to go over all of the deck lists, honestly, since it's just the top 8. And we do have, I just kind of want to go over all the deck lists anyways, because even the ones that there were duplicates, like the Bardock, they were unique. So I want to look over those ones as well. We also do have a unique X2 as well. So we're going to go over Jason's versions of Zamasu at the end too. But we're going to start off with the Bardocks here. So I did make a tier list video going over my thoughts of going into this format. And I honestly think both Son Goku GT and Bardock are strong leaders. And if I had to choose which one I thought was a little bit stronger, I put as Goku instead. So, you know, maybe I lost the coin flip, but the biggest thing for my decision point on that one is with the Bardock effect. So it has it's a 25k when attacking already, so that's pretty good, being able to draw a card and do that. But it has this activate battle your turn once per turn. Look at the top card of your deck and use up to 1 battle card with Bardock's crew and its special traits in a combo, then place the rest of the top or bottom of its owner's deck. So I kind of read this effect and I'm like, oh, you know what? It's probably like the best to do this consistently, being able to use it to like just get, like, you know, an extra +5 every turn. And that's kind of what my mentality for building the deck was. And also there are like a lot of deck cards that exist, like, oh, you can like put up top or bottom, and a lot of extra Bardock's crew. And what you'll probably notice when you look at this build at the end of the day is that there's very actually little of that going on. I think this is John Argios's build, who's a fantastic Dragon Ball player for both Masters and Fusion World. But you'll notice that there's a really just small amount of actual cards that are not Bardock's crew, and there's no real way to actually look at the top of the deck. So what's going on here? What's their mentality for it? And the more I looked at this, the more it made sense to me of like why we do this. We just play a lot of these like 1-drops that draw cards, right? We have Son Goku Childhood BR. We have Hercule GT, which as long as we have an energy marker, which isn't too terrible to do in this deck, we're able to just draw a card, just a 1-drop that's not Hercule. So we can get Guru, we can get Kakarot, so many good cards from there. We have Borgos, which is a Bardock's crew Saiyan, but it's also just a 1-drop we can cycle back, which is nice. We have Fasha, which also just draws a card in Bardock's crew. So we're only really playing 17 Bardock's crew from this one, which is really interesting. So being able to do that just helps us out, I think, for being able to just help us out and get some pieces if we want to put the top. Kakarot lets us, you know, on play, place 1 card from your hand, the top of your bottom, your owner's deck. And if you don't have an energy marker, you get to place 1 energy marker. So the idea that you get to like lose a card, but then you get to cut it back if you use your leader effect is great. So I think that's helpful. You can use Hercule GT to cycle that back around. And generally what you want to do is that you just want to get all these effects that help you, you know, help with your combos too. So we have the Bardock being able to attack with this twice, draw a card, and switch to active mode. I think is really nice. We got Son Goku GT. This card is, I think, still like the boss monster for this deck most of the time. Being able to use this to just get a lot of advantage, especially since we can cheat it out if we have 3 energy and an energy marker. We don't really care if we use an energy marker to play this because he replenishes it outright, which is really strong. And then our big daddy boy Bardock here. So double strike, 35k, activate battle your turn once per turn. If you have 2 or more cards in your combo area, you get to choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. So it just means that, like, even if you have to give 2 5ks from your hand, you get to be a 45k double strike, and you get to pop literally anything on the board, which is really nice. No cost reduction or anything. So obviously, yeah, if you use your leader effect and you just happen to see like a Bardock screw on top, that's an added bonus. But I think the idea that this deck can kind of exist without getting the consistent top decking, I think that's really strong. So obviously it's like a little boon, maybe gets like a little bit high rolly at times, but I think it makes sense that, you know what, there's just so much like overhead, and like, you know, you have to play some bad cards, and like knowing the ratios for this, I'm really curious to see how Bardock evolves the next couple of weeks with this. But I really like what this build is, and I really want to test it pretty soon because it looks really, really fun. So there's John's build, and then we also have Max's build as well. It went with a little bit of a different direction, but I think the same kind of thesis. The big difference is that we're playing the Pan GT. So this says look at the top 5 cards of your deck, look up to one, or get one up. Reveal up to 1 Son Goku GT or up to 1 Trunks GT added to your hand, and place the rest at the bottom in a random order. So that just really means that we get to turbo out this way more consistently, just being able to find it very consistently off of like the Pan being able to find it. This also finds out its Trunks, so we are running a lot of targets. We also have the Son Goku GT, which is a self-awakener. So we have 16 targets, I think. We've got 4 of the Trunks GT, 4 of the other Trunks GT from the set as well. So 16 targets off this Pan is not too bad, being able to use it, and then we can combo with it later. But I think what the idea for Max's build is, we would really want to see this every time we have 4. We want to just spam the board with it, and then if your opponent can't remove it, we get a lot of value from it. So still running the Bardocks too, and also like the 10 times Kamehameha, which was in both builds. But this card's actually really nice, being able to get rid of a 2 cost or less for 1 R, 2 3 cost or less as well if you use an energy marker, which is not, again, too terribly hard to do as well. So even if like we need the energy marker, Kakarot can always just like place a card, and then it replaces itself with an energy marker, and then you put like a Bardock's crew on top of your deck, which you can then combo with anyway, so you don't even like you lose the advantage for it, which is nice. So you just have to kind of sequence it correctly, because it's your turn once per turn. So actually you draw. That's actually kind of weird. That's kind of weird. How are you supposed to do this? If you top out your deck and then you have I guess you just have to attack with something else, right? Yeah. It doesn't have to be this guy. This guy is different than others. It's not when this guy's in battle, just whenever you combo. So, all right. Yeah, I don't know. I like this deck. I obviously need more experience with it, but I think Bardock's really neat, and it's cool to see a new color added to this game. And I think they've done a good job so far of making it strong, but not too strong. But I guess we'll see in the next couple weeks too. So this is Max's build, but congrats to both John and Max for their top with Bardock for this event. All right, next up we've got Vegeta. This guy's been hanging around since the beginning, right? It started deck 2. I think Blue's gonna be really, really good in this set. It didn't get a lot of cards, but the cards that it got are pretty good. Generally, it's just kind of like the idea that you can even just value more cards. I've been playing a lot of blue in general. It's probably the color I've been playing the most with both this Vegeta and also the new Goku, which we'll talk about in a second. But this is Dean's list of it here, and the new cards that I like from this one are the Videl. Being able just to be a 2-drop 20k that lets you just draw a card on attack is fantastic. It's an Earthling with cost 3 or less, which means you can get your peel off. So like continued peel off looping is fantastic. It just means, you have a 2-drop 20k that attacks, draws a peel off, and then you can keep peel offing until you're done. It also kind of changes what the playstyle is based on my own experience. This could be the wrong way to do it, but I found a lot of success on the early parts of this meta, is where you just combo out of everything. You just, like, your leader, keep it as healthy as you can. I don't care if I'm not awakening. It doesn't matter, because I'm going to continue just to be giving these 5 and 10k combos in the early game, and then I can use Vidal to get them back, or even Pilaf to get them back, which is nice. And the other kind of thing for it is that blue has this mechanic, this identity, for better or for worse, in this game where we have to have 7 or less cards in our hand. So because of that, if we're continuing to combo early game, we're going to be able to be at a really low hand size and a high life total. So it just means that we're never afraid of losing. Our opponent's going to have to just and since we're just drawing like 1 or 2 extra cards every turn and we're at a healthy life total, it doesn't matter that we're a 15k leader. It doesn't matter that like they're going to awaken earlier than us and we have a 15k leader. It just truly does not matter in a lot of situations. You just try to get as much value as possible. So I found that to be very, very successful for it. We also just have a good amount of removal. This card's absurd. I don't know how they printed this. It's just on play. If you have 7 or fewer cards in your hand, choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards cost of 3 or less and place them at the bottom of their owner's deck. This card is dumb. Even though we added like barrier into this game, this card is really, really dumb. And we have the Goku deck that we'll talk about who can even cheat this out for technically 3 energy instead. But like, if you play this card on curve, you get to just remove your opponent's board. You get to be a 30k that just gets to attack your opponent's leader for free. And it's just really good. I don't know what else to say. It's just really, really, really good. So I think that card is kind of silly, and it helps this deck a lot. You'll notice that we have so much ding dang removal. We have this Vegeta as well, getting rid of 4 costs. I think 4 costs are kind of like the new barrier of entry for things to remove. We have like the 4 cost Jiren, we have like the Son Goku GT secret rare. There's a lot of 4 costs that I think we want to try to start removing from this game. So because of that, Vegeta being very good for that. And honestly, I think this is a meta where Vegeta can just shine in a lot of ways. Even if we're just bouncing back what our opponent played last turn, we get a 30k attack twice, which they have to kind of get out of. I've been really, really enjoying and finding a lot of success from playing him as right now. So like 3 or 4 copies if you have it. And then we do have our removal Gallic Gun for just more cycle, Sinister Sickle for some good removal, especially because it hits a 4 cost, and then also the Absolute Lightning for just literally anything if we want, and then Zeno can do the same thing. So I think all those cards are great. Mai being able to put things into range as well, so you can, for 5, you can use it for like Son Gohan Adolescence and Mai, and then you can get rid of a 4 and a 3, which is great, or something for Sickle, get rid of a 5 and a 4. All of those are really good. I think Mai's in a good spot for this too, and it's a 1-drop Earthling that's a 10k. Why would you not run this card? It's super good. So this is the build though for Dean, and congratulations for their 2nd place with it. All right, next up we've got Goku. So this is the new boy, and this is honestly one of my favorite decks in this meta. It's a little bit complex, and I think it's going to evolve in the next couple weeks for ratios and which cards are good and how we play it. But the general idea around this deck is pretty solid in a lot of ways. It's a little bit complex, but I'll do my best to do it in a short amount of time. It's pretty much like the blue Vegeta deck that we just talked about, but the idea is that we're revolving around these Satan Cities tags right here. So like we have Erasa, which is a searcher. We also have all these effects. So for example, Sharpener, you get a reduction of a extra by 1, so which is a little bit RNG sometimes, but when it works out, it works out. We also do have our leader effect that lets you draw 2, then place 1 at the top, which means that not only are you going deeper into your deck and getting a little bit more consistency, but you're also putting a card in your deck that you likely want there to be able to use your effect. You also have this activate battle opponent's turn once per turn. You can switch up to 1 card in your battle area to rest mode. It's literally anything. It doesn't have to be. It's literally anything. Doesn't have to be a Satan City or anything. If you have 7 or fewer cards in your hand, this gets plus 10k power for the battle. So we're going to play this Orange Star High School, which doesn't tap itself for its effect. It does lose itself for activate main for 2, but if you play this early and you just keep it around, you're able to just get like a free 10k on defense every turn, as long as you have 7 or less cards in hand, which is really nice. Other than that, though, we just do have a good amount of good cards. So we want to have a good amount of Satan City cards. Hercule as well is a good one, and being able to use it to get a reduction of 2 actually comes up quite a bit. We do get to play the Son Gohan Adolescence, which we get to cheat out, which is nice. We have Vegeta, which also lets get, if you play this on curve, you get rid of a 2 cost, and then you're able to additionally get reduction of 1 for everything, which is great, and then our kind of top end. So I kind of like running some Goku Blacks in either of these decks. I didn't mention it. I think it's a good like checkmate card, but I do also recognize that the card is potentially like just like a win more card. So, but I don't know. There's a lot to talk about this deck. So you can obviously play this school. You can play You Prefer Girls with Short Hair, which lets you draw 3 and then put 1 to the top of your deck, which means then you can make sure that you get your Sharpeners effects, or you can make sure to put a Sun Gohan Adolescence back to the top so you can play Orange Star High School, and also the Great Saiyaman. So choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards that cost less than or equal to the number of cards of Saiyan City and their special traits in your battle area, and place it at the bottom of its owner's deck. So if you have 3, you get to bounce back a 3-drop. If you have 3 and Hercule and you attack with Hercule, then you can get rid of something. It's a little bit cheesy. You have to, make sure you have the pieces for it. But the fact that, this card, like field cards are harder to remove. So that helps out getting a lot of these requirements at the same time. So I don't know. There's a lot to talk about this deck. I think it's a little bit more mechanically complex, and it's a little bit more tricky since you do have to run a lot more cards without any inherent combo with it. But at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of good things that this deck can do. So anyways, this is Jiawei's version for top 4, and congratulations for their finish there. Next up, we got Aandroidd 17. So we got 2 builds. We got Jasper, and we also have Nin Zhang's version of it. You will notice that these are completely FB02 decks, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I don't think there's really a lot of generically good cards in green that came out in set 3. And I think that's okay, because green was pretty good for the first 2 sets of this game. So 17 is still really great. The idea that we can honestly just abuse this card. This card is just fantastic. I don't know why they printed this. There's nothing wrong. Like, what's the negative for running this card? There's literally no negative for running it. It's a 4-drop 20k. That's technically a 1-drop 20k that ramps, if you really want to think about it. It's a 10k, and then being able to just attack with it and combo. It's searchable off the Aandroidd 20. Are off the Krillin. Like, there's just so much good things with this deck that it's really hard to on a consistency standpoint, it's really hard to mess up with it. So we are also running like the destructive strengths for help there. We're also running like the trunks here. So if you have 5 more energy, you can on play ramp 1, which is nice. And then obviously you want to get to 8 as soon as possible to play your Broly BR. But even just getting to 6 and getting rid of 2-3 costs with 17-18 and having a 40k double strike is good in its own way. So I think the deck is good. The 6 cost means that like blue can't inherently get rid of it outside of like a cost reduction in Vegeta, which is a little bit tricky to do. And I think the deck is in a good spot in that way too. So I don't really have much more to say about it. We do have the 2 builds. I think they're moderately the same, right? There's some small changes between which ramp cards, for example, having some Vegetas in here for some more guaranteed ramp. But we've played against green for like 6 months now, right? We know how the deck works, what they want to do, and when they do it, they're really, really good at it. So I think it's still a great deck, though, and congratulations to Jasper and Nin Zhang for their finish there. All right, next up we've got Son Goku GT. So again, at the beginning of the video, going into this meta, I thought this deck was a little bit better than Bardock, and it seems like it might be the other way around, which I'm okay with being wrong on. But I do like what this guy does. It's just generically good and just helps you more actively, just cares about like just having energy markers. Having this activate main once per turn for 1, choose up to one of your battle cards that gets plus 10k power until the end of your opponent's next turn. So being able to be on both turns is great. And then if you removed an energy marker from this skill, gets plus 15k power for the turn. So obviously what you can do is you can use something like Bardock as well. So it's a 3-drop 20k, but you get to keep the power for it. So you can make it a 30k, and then also you get its autos once per turn to be able to attack twice in the same turn, right? So being able to like a 30k double strike for technically 4 energy, dual attack that also like gets you some card draw as long as you use a combo with it. That's pretty good, right? I think that's a strong thing for this deck, especially because you can make it 35k if that's more relevant than a 30k. But I think that's strong. Obviously, though, both decks just kind of want to make sure you see this card as soon as possible. And I don't know, I could just be overstating it, but I think this card is just dumb, right? This card is just really, really good and just helps you win a lot of games. If your opponent can't remove it, then you just get exponentially amount of value, right? Being able to get an energy marker every turn. If you have 2 of them, you can play one with an energy marker, attack with this Son Goku GT, gain a marker, and then use it again, and then get another one with the other one, and end your turn to draw 2. Like it just gets exponentially better the longer they stay out. So I think that's really, really good. I haven't talked about these guys yet, but I think this card is really stupid too. On play, if you removed an energy marker to use this card, you get to choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, and it can't attack during your opponent's next turn. So by and large, it's just like straight removal, right? I think it's really good against blue, being able to use this on like a 5-drop Vegeta that was going to attack twice. Now not being able to attack at all, I think is really good. And it's just a great card for also just a 10k. I think it's almost, especially for this build, which I think is running more energy markers than usual, like ways to get energy markers. I think it's just good for that. So I don't have much more to say about this. I think both are good decks. If you like one more than the other, go for it. This meta is still very early, and it's going to be cool to see which one ends up being just the better of the two in general. But this is the build here, and congratulations to Elliot for their finish with Son Goku GT. And then to wrap up the top 8, we do have Jimmy with their version of Starter Deck Goku. And I thought the best red deck going into this is Beerus. It still has like unrivaled amount of removal, which I think is very strong. I think Goku does have some potential too, but the only issue with this is that the meta is looking like very green and blue based in my experience. And so if that is the case, you'll almost never be able to use your activate battle on your opponent's turn, right? Like on your turn, sure, you can get like an extra 5k on one of your battle cards, but like your opponent's likely going to be able to remove a lot of your cards without battle in most matchups, right? Red's able to do it, green's able to do it, blue's able to do it. Like yellow cannot really do it. Yeah, like yellow and black, right? And even though black still has some removal, those are like the two colors that would be able to let you do that. So and which aren't like yellow, I don't think is in the meta as much as it has been previously. So but when you're able to get it off, I do think there's some really good effects for this. Some new cards that we got the Jiren. So this card's a menace. I wish it just had like better protection, but I'm kind of happy that it doesn't. So activate battle opponent's turn once per turn. You take 1 damage. If this card's in rest mode, you get to add the top card of your deck to your life. So essentially, this just says draw 1. But it has some other implications for the Jiren leader. And then also permanent, this card can't be KO'd once per turn. But clearly you can bounce it back to opponent's hand. You can bottom deck it. You can give it minus 30k, and then it just gets removed from game mechanics. All of this stuff really stinks, unfortunately. So he's just kind of tricky to get advantage for it. But in the idea that if this card is in battle, you can give it like a plus 5k if you need to, give it a free save. I think that's really strong for it. But unfortunately, I don't know how good Jiren's going to be in the meta, even though like he reads really, really strong. I think he just gets removed way too easy. We also do have some new cards like the Marcita, being able to, if your leader is awakened, choose to one of your battle cards, gets plus 10k power for the turn. So being able to get like that boost is really great. We're going to be awakened pretty easy. We also have this like new Goku, which it doesn't work with this leader as well, because it says when attacking with this battle card with 30k power or more, draw 1. So with the U7 Goku, it does work if you're awakened because it gets plus 5 inherently, but our leader says give plus 5k for the battle. So it says when it's going to have its when attacking effect, which is going to resolve, and then it goes into the battle step. So unfortunately, this doesn't get the plus. You can give it the plus 5k, but then it's going to be after the when attacking proc, so you're not going to get it. So I wish this was like activate battle your turn, which means it could be used for both leaders instead of just the U7 Goku leader, but it's how it is. But if you have a 30k leader or battle card somewhere else, for example, if you have like the Jiren or use like a Marcita, being able to get the extra draw I think is good. You also can have like the Rosie, so when attacking, this card gets plus 5k power for the turn for each of your opponent's battle cards. So since it's for the turn, you can, if this is like a 30k, and then if your opponent has 3, you attack with this, and you can attack with the Goku, you get a draw. But I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to test this deck. I feel like it's a little bit clunky still for what it is. And this is just U7. This isn't tournament power. So like Kefla can't play the card either. The only cards we can play are this new Kaba as well. So on play, if your leader's awakened, add up to 1 non-Kaba battle card with cost of 4 or less, and tournament power and special traits from your drop to your hand, which sounds good, but I don't know, like what you can get Rosie, I guess technically, and you can get Khalifa, but obviously that card would be way stronger if Kefla was at 4. But I'm okay with Kefla still staying at 1. So I don't know. We'll have to see with this. Red's obviously not as the same power level I think it was, especially at the start of FB03 or even at the end of FB02. So it's going to be interesting if there's going to be a red deck that ends up being relevant. It just sucks that it's so battle dependent a lot of the time, and I think that I think there's just going to be so much removal right now that's going to be hard for cards to stick on the board and for this Goku to get as much value as it could be. But this is the build here. Congratulations to Jimmy for their finish there. And to wrap it up, we do have a few Zamasu. This is Jason's build. He got top 16 with a 16th finish with an X2 record, so could have bubbled into the top 8, but just didn't get the tiebreakers for it. But honestly, I think this deck is still really great. I kind of mentioned it already, but we have like this Videl, even though it has no combo, being able to just add a peel off and then on attack, and then be able to like loop your. It's just like so like infinite value almost. Like it's just approaching like I will never run out of cards, which seems good in a game that cards get you out of attacks kind of thing. But I think that's strong. We also have this new Trunks activate main, shoots to 1 of your opponent's battle cards, cost 2 or less. Place that at the bottom of his owner's deck, and you can place this card at the bottom of its owner's deck. So you have to place this card at its owner's deck, but being able to just be a 20k that you can like use to remove later, or if there's like a obnoxious 2-drop, I think that's good. It also gets around protection, right? You can use Mai to give a reduction for something, so you can get rid of a 3 cost, right? I would almost rather play the 3-drop Vegeta, I think more cases than not, but I think it's still fine. We have the Sickle, we have the Vegeta, no Goku Black, which I think is interesting. So I maybe it's just too expensive. Maybe it's too expensive of a card, but I think Goku Black has a lot of potential. So I don't know. And then we also have the Whis. This is from FB03 permanent. If your life is at 3 or less, this gains blocker. So if we're awakened on our Zamasu side, then also after an opponent's attack, you may switch this card to Respa and change the target of the attack to this card. Oh, sorry, that's blocker. Sorry. On play, discard 1 card from your hand to get a draw 1. So being able to get some cycle is good. Being able to just have a blocker, which is great. It's a 10k, which is great too. So it's an interesting card. And obviously, I don't think blockers are super useful in this game, but being able to just get like another 1-drop that you're able to just get some cycle with and just as a 10k, I think is fine. So in general, though, I think this deck is interesting. I need to test a lot more Zamasu fused myself as well, but the idea that this is just like the best control deck potentially, being a 25k leader, being able to heal once per turn. It obviously depends if you're able to get to high Dawn amount or energy amounts, but if you can just clear board with Zeno and then just recoup your card loss with like P-Loss and Videls, you're in a good spot. So this is the build here, and congratulations to Jason for their finish there. But that's gonna be it for me. I hope you guys enjoy this. I know this was a little bit of a longer one, a little bit more of a rambly one, but obviously a new format. Really excited to talk about some new cards, and looking forward to see what this meta develops into. So again, if you guys want any of the deck lists that are on my website, Eggman Events, we should be updating that pretty shortly to be able to go into directly to the Fusion World client too. And I'm looking forward to more FB03 content. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.
Damn it. Damn it.